students. Hi, how are you today? I hope all of you in a good health. Okay. Now, our topic is today is about system software. Okay. Our subtopic is about translation software. Okay, first about learning objective for our lesson. The first one is show understanding of the concept of the virtual machine. Number two, show understanding of how interpreter can execute programs without producing a translated version. And then number three is show understanding of the various stage in the compilation of a program. Okay, now, what is a translator? A translator is a computer program or software that translates a program written in a given programming language into a functionally equivalent program in a different language. For example, you may write a program that is written in Java, which is a high-level language. The program that you have written eventually needs to run on the CPU, and thus needs translating into the machine code or a low-level language that the CPU understands. How can the CPU understand? Okay, first, a computer only understands machine code or binary code. This is an issues programmer prefer to use a variety of high and low level programming language instead. To get around the issues, the high level and low level program code or source code needs to pass through a translator. And then a translator will convert the source code into the machine code or object code. And then there are several types of translator programs, each able to perform different tasks. Okay, there is 5 types of translator. Number 1 is compiler, interpreter, decompiler, assembler, and disassembler. Okay, after this, I will explain what is mean of these types. Okay, number 1, compiler. Compiler, if the translator translates a high-level language into a lower-level language. Example like this. So the compiler are used to translate program written in a high-level language into a machine code or object code. And then once compiled, the translated program file can be directly used by the computer and is independently executable. Compiling may take some time, but the translated program can be used again and again without the need for recompiler or recompilation. And then an error report is often produced after error. Okay, this error can only be fixed by change the original source code and compiling the program again. Now interpreter. Interpreter, the translator translates a high-level language into an intermediate code which will be immediately executed by the CPU. Okay. Okay, like this. So the interpreter stops when a line of code is reached that contains an error. Interpreters are often used during the development of a program. They become easier as each line of code is analyzed and checked before execution. The interpreter programs will launch immediately, but your program may run slower than its compiled file. No executable file is produced. The program is interpreted again from scratch every time you launch it. Now assembler. Assemblers are used to translate a program written in a lower level assembly language into a machine code or object code files so it can be used and executed by computer. So once assembled, the program file can be used again and again without the reassembly. Example like this. In the top, you can see is have a high level language. Example, Java, PHP, PXP, Python. And then after that, assembly language. After that, machine code. We can call this assembler. And after that, the instruction set. So we need hardware to do that, okay? Next, the compiler. The compiler is a programming tool that converts an executable program or low-level or machine language into a format understandable to software programmers. Okay, so the compiler, it performs the operation of compiler, which translates source code into a executable format, but in reverse. Okay, the compilers receive a human user, whereas the compiler is the machine. Okay, next, disassembler. Disassembler, the translator translates machine code into assembly language. So disassembler differ from a decompiler, okay? Okay, now the compiler have advantage and disadvantage. Okay, first, advantage. Advantage, compile programs run quickly since they have already been translated. A compiled program can be supplied as an executable file. Compilers optimize code. Optimized code can run quicker and takes up less memory space. And how is this advantage? Okay, the disadvantage from compiler is because the source code is translated as a whole, there must be enough memory space to hold the source code, the compiler, and generate object code. Compiler do not usually spot error. The program has to be compiled and run before error and executed. Next, the source code must be recompiled every time the programmer changes the program. The source code compiled on one platform will not run on another. The object code is specific to the processor architecture. Now, what is advantage and disadvantage from interpreters? First, advantage. Instructions are executable as soon as they are translated. And then since instructions are executed, once translated, they are not stored for later use. As a result, the interpreters require less available memory. Errors can be quickly spotted. Once an error is found, the program stops running and the user is notified and which part of the program that interpretation has failed. Now, disadvantage from the interpreters. The interpreted programs run more slowly as the processor has to wait for each instruction to be translated before it can be executable. Sorry. And then additionally, the program has to be translated every time it is run. Interpreters do not produce an executable file that can be distributed. As a result, the source code program has to be supplied, and this could be modified without permission. And then the last one, interpreters do not optimize code. The translate code is executed as it is. Okay, now we are talking about programming software and the IDE. What is IDE? Okay, IDE is an application used to create a software. An IDE often supports different languages. So, an IDE is used to write code, test for error, and translate a program. Many brands of IDE exist. Example, Python comes for simple IDE called IDLE. And then Eclipse and NetBeans are two fully featured IDEs often used for programming in Java, JavaScript, and HTML. And then Visual Studio is an IDE largely designed to help programmers in the Visual Basic or C class. Okay, now we're talking about virtual machine. What is virtual machine? Virtual machine is a programming environment that allows a program written from one type of machine to run on other types of the machine without any change being necessary. So, for example, the Java virtual machine allows the Java bytecode produced on a Microsoft Windows OS to run on the Unix OS without any change. Okay. A virtual machine, we can say a virtual machine is a software application run by the host operating system of the computer, which emulates a second operating system. Example virtual machine we know as a VirtualBox and VMware. But mostly we only know about this one, VirtualBox, especially for those that like to play games. Okay. Now, for example, why we using this one? Yeah, for example, it is possible to run a Microsoft Windows virtual machine on an Apple or Mac, allowing software applications that only work on the Microsoft Windows OS to be run via the virtual machine or VM, which in turn is run on the Mac. So, example like this. Example, your computer using OS X or Mac, okay? And then after that, we install virtual machine. We use this one, virtual box. So with the virtual box, you can create 2 virtual machines. Example, Windows XP and Windows 10. Okay, so in one computer, we can have 2 operating systems. Okay, by this one, we use virtual box. Why people using virtual box? Mostly the reason is like this. Mostly we try a new operating system, okay, and then we testing an application, and we running old application, okay. So there is a many reason why someone would use virtual machine, okay. So there you go. The most basic simple terms, this is the virtual machine is, and how can you potentially use it. Okay. Next, we must know what is the advantage of using virtual machine. First, allow multiple operating system that I had explained before. One computer have 2 operating system, Windows XP and Windows 10. Okay, allow multiple operating system environments on a single physical computer without any intervention. And then the virtual machines are widely available and are easy to manage and maintain. And then over the applications, provisioning and disaster recovery options. Okay, now drawbacks. Okay, what is the drawbacks of the virtual machine? The drawbacks is they are not as efficient as a physical computer because the hardware resource and distribute in an indirect way. The second one, a multiple virtual machines running on a single physical machine can deliver unstable performance. Okay, now, all right, students, that is the end of our lesson today. Okay, don't forget, I just want to remind you that don't forget to submit the exercise. Okay, and later it will be have a new assignment for this one, this topic. So later I will post in the GCR. Okay, so okay, see you in the next lesson. Bye.